with a quick meditation exercise, just some self-awareness. We've probably been sitting at our desk for a while or just sitting in general. So, stretch out your arms, take a few deep breaths, be mindful of your posture when you're aware of your physical self. It really helps reflect the state of your mind. So always be a little mindful of, how you're sitting and, that you have a smile on your face. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining today. We are recording, right?
Yep.
Team. Okay, awesome. Thank you. And so we will be talking about effective communication for product managers today. You guys can also see my screen. Sweet. Okay, awesome. I'm going to go over a quick agenda. So we'll start with some introductions. We'll talk about what is Flourish, who is sponsoring this masterclass today. We're going to dive deep into effective communication, what great communication for product managers mean, why empathy is so important for a product manager, what we try to achieve with empathy. Then we're going to go into tactical strategies on how to get anyone to listen, how to get stakeholder buy-in. We'll do a quick demo of how to use these strategies live. Oftentimes we learn theory, but we don't know actually how to apply it or get that practice. So definitely want to spend time there. And then I'll go over some quick virtual meeting tips to help you conduct awesome, efficient meetings for the rest of the day. So yeah, if you have any questions, just hit them in the chat. Dr. Strange will answer them. And let's get started. So today's facilitators, we have Hal 5, Paul Chen. Just a quick note too, we have a nickname culture here at Flourish. Makes everything a lot more fun, and we kind of like pick someone we want to step into the shoes of. So he's Hal 5, which is inspired by Shakespeare. He studied communication and leadership at Stanford and Harvard, worked at top companies leading professionals all over the world, and was personally nominated by Dr. Condoleezza Rice. So he is a star student of hers. Dr. Strange, he is our head of product. He studied computer science and has a degree in neuroscience as well. So he brings a lot to the table. He worked at huge companies as well, such as Plum, Pandora, and Glassdoor as an engineer and a data scientist. So he will be contributing to our discussion today. Starfire me, I'm head of growth and I am graduate from UC Berkeley. I've been a product manager for the past 5 years at a energy efficiency SaaS company, and now work on some marketing for Flourish too. And last but not least, we have Nubia, who is our awesome coach at Flourish. She has a master's in communication and has taught so many students all over the world, 3,000 students plus on public speaking, interpersonal communications. And today she works as a life coach and advisor. So thank you for being here, everyone. Kind of move to the next slide.
I believe we have at least one or two other coaches on the line as well. Bill Schreiner, also known as Billy Truth, is on the line. And there might be others. There's so many on the so many people here. I apologize to them. Yeah, feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat, and yeah, we'll take it from there. So what is Flourish? For the mission of Flourish is to help everyone in the world flourish. How do we do this? Primarily through teaching communication frameworks and providing a safe space to practice them with the coach, and sometimes in group settings as well. Why? Because we believe that great communication skills lead to less conflict and greater relationships, which leads to human flourishing. As we discussed, this is we have people here from all over the world because this is a very human problem, being able to communicate with one another, especially in these days when so many of us are working remotely. So next slide, please. So who is Flourish for? Flourish is for people who want to grow and develop into the person they want to be. It is not a replacement for therapy. We provide a space to practice strategies and skills, and our expert coaches provide feedback for your practice. We like to say that perfecting practice makes perfect. That means that practicing in an environment where you can get constructive feedback and where you can practice with low or no stakes, where it's okay to fail. This is how you get better. This is how you master skills. And we provide a space where you can do that.
Awesome. And I think Hal has actually a great story behind this. Would you mind sharing?
Yeah, absolutely. So building on what Dr. Strange was saying, team, I learned the hard way, and that's part of the motivation for why I founded the company along with the team here. 10 years ago, when I just graduated from college, I was a young buck working on Wall Street when Wall Street was still cool back then. Um, Unfortunately, my lack of sophisticated communication skills led me to clash terribly with my boss. And it made going to work really a torture every single day for months to come. And, I was blaming my boss, blaming everybody else, and blaming the situation. Looking back, I realized that, really I could have taken some ownership and could have leveraged some of the communication strategies that you all will be exposed to today. And that would have made me perform better at work and also feel less miserable at work. It would just really change my life. But so what I didn't have 10 years ago, we're making available to you.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. And given that, Hal has put together an awesome effective communication framework, which I will dive into in just a minute. But let's first cover what is effective communication. So you'll hear that empathy is really the most important quality for a product manager because we need to understand our customers. Communicating with empathy, assertiveness, and respect will also earn the attentions of those you need. So the stakeholders to get buy-in, your team, and maybe like other cross-functional teams that you have to work with. Again, like empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. And so with these communication skills that really capture empathy, these result in greater relationships, and greater relationships really are the foundation to flourishing and success. So without further ado, let's jump into what effective communication for product managers means. There's a few groups here that it becomes really critical for. So of course, you have to talk to customers. It doesn't matter if you're B2B or B2C. You need to understand who is my user and what matters for them. As a product manager, our focus is on the customers. We need to give them what they want, what they need, what they'll appreciate. And if we keep these in mind, we can really power our communication with this purpose. And our job is to create user value. So it has to be the heart of this communication. And if you ask why enough times, that's one way to figure out how to communicate. And hopefully you'll get down to the answer of like, it's providing value to my customers. Convincing stakeholders. So it's the executive bubble up top. How can you get their buy-in? Do you understand their goals and can you speak to it? Can you tie your objectives into theirs? Because if you don't speak their language, they don't have the time to hear everyone else's ideas. So how can you get their attention and convince them that your objectives are aligned? And then last but not least, you have your team to manage. You have other cross-functional teams to manage. Like you have to collaborate with marketing and sales all the time. How can you manage these responsibilities and expectations? How can you communicate when your delivery is going to be delayed, or communicate a sense of urgency when something is late? You need to be able to tell them what to do or what they need to do and why they need to do it. So a huge part of it is, inspiring your team to do great work, encouraging them to share when they hit blockers, and motivating your team. And then some other important questions to ask are like, can you empathize and accept everyone's suggestions? Can you speak in a way that helps everyone collaborate? These are all very important when it comes to creating that team cohesiveness and getting things done. And actually, there are some frameworks for this too. So, for example, if you need to communicate a goal across the team, so everyone knows like what your focus is, one way to do that is through OKRs, objective key results, and I highly recommend measure what matters. it's a great resource to implement that for your team. Sorry, just need to move the window. Okay, and for marketing as well, you need to sell to your audience, and you need to understand what problem points they're facing to really convince them of that your product is going to bring them value. This may take place in press releases or blog posts, but you need to be able to understand and empathize with them, and account for all these scenarios that they may be going through. So if you don't take anything else away, it's to know your audience and to use empathy. And so communication is not about talking all the time. There's a strategy to it to make it really effective. And let's see, so this next slide, sorry. So the goals of empathy, I like to use this analogy of like digging a tunnel through a mountain to get to the other side. First, you need to break down the existing barriers. You need to then open a channel for communication, and then you can get closer to someone. So with empathy, you can really do that in terms of human relationships. You address a conflict and you allow them to be more open to what you have to say. And then once they're kind of listening to you, then you can reach a resolution. So our framework is really focused on just allowing that other person to listen to you. And so you'll realize that we're not resolution focused. And I'm gonna pass it to our coach Nubia to dive into the first strategy.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Nubia for you sci-fi fans. Welcome to Flourish. I'd like to go over our 6 strategies, the strategies that makes you flourish in your communication. The first one is to disarm. Disarming, in case someone comes to you, maybe they're upset, maybe they're a little angry about not getting their kudos, or the project may have gone away, and whatever it is, you have to do something to keep that person in that communication. So you have to disarm. And how you do that is you find that little tiny grain of truth. And for example, I don't think customers will like this feature because it's unintuitive. So someone comes to you like that, and you could jump back, or you could use one of our strategies. You're right. You're right. Customers may find this unintuitive. Or I agree that customers will find this unintuitive. Yes, customers will find this unintuitive. Now you've got that person's attention. They're with you at the table. At first, they probably thought you were gonna not listen to them, but now you've got their attention. So that's to disarm. Our next strategy is called thought empathy. Thought empathy. And that's to listen. Pay close attention to what that person is saying. And you do that by repeating the key words that they're using. You're not going to verbatim write everything down that they say, but you're showing that you have grasped and understand what they're saying. So for example, again, I don't think our stakeholders will agree with this pain point. I understand that you don't think our stakeholders will agree with this pain point. So you're saying what they said, and you're letting them know that you heard them. That's thought empathy. Then our third wonderful strategy that's so very effective is feeling empathy. Now that you've disarmed, now that you've listened, you move to their feelings. Now, you're not going to tell them what they feel. You're going to guess. So feeling empathy is your best guess to what they're feeling. Because you don't want to tell them what they're feeling. Then they go, how do you know what I'm feeling? No, I don't think customers will like this feature because it's unintuitive. And you answer, you say, well, I wonder, I wonder if you're feeling. So you're guessing. I wonder if you're feeling annoyed, maybe, because we changed this feature from the previous discussion, or maybe you might be feeling surprised. So you're prefacing with guess. I'm guessing you feel that way. And I'll tell you what, they're going to add to it. If you miss that mark, they'll say, oh, I'm not annoyed. I'm perturbed, whatever. So they'll help you, but they know that you're listening to them. That's where feeling empathy comes in, a way for you to connect with that person. Number 4 of our fantastic strategies are I feel statements. Now, you're going to let them know that you have a feeling in this situation also. I understand. Authentically reveal how you feel. You're not making it up. You're in this together. So you stay with that one word emotion. You can use just one and maybe several, but one strong emotion. For example, I feel sad. I'm really feeling sad from hearing all of this feedback from you. Now I'm worried. I'm worried. We need to work on this. So you're letting them know you have feelings. I recognize it, and so do I. We're going to get through this together. Our next strategy, number 5, affirmations. I know you've heard this term. Affirmations. That's that positive, genuine appreciation for that person. You admire the work that they've done. You admire them. You admire their work. For example, I appreciate that last week. So you're giving an example. You're not just saying, oh, you're such a nice person. That's not what we mean by affirmation. We want to get examples. I appreciate that last week you gave me product direction that resulted in compliments from all of our customers. So you gave an example of actual things that that person has done. That's an affirmation. I recognize that 2 months ago, you and I succeeded in this project. You are an important person to me because you stand out with your actions that you do with our customers. So give them something concrete, what you did last week, what you did yesterday, how you handled this particular project. So that's an affirmation. Make sure it's genuine. Then finally, you're going to now ask a question. You're going to inquire because you're bringing that person in. You've already established a relationship. They're still at the table. They're listening to you. Now you're going to ask. You invite them in. You share your thoughts and feelings. You ask them, can you tell me just a little bit more about how you're feeling about this whole entire situation? Can you tell me more about what's going on in your eyes? So you're asking a question, and guess what? They're going to tell you. They're going to start sharing because now they know you will listen. That's our 6 strategies. That's how we flourish.
Yeah, that's a fantastic overview of those 6 strategies, which, by the way, we didn't come up with it. It's research by Stanford after conducting experiments for decades. And these things have proven to be very, very effective. Just a couple of, highlights from what Nubia said. One is, the 3 things I wanted to say, being a coach myself. One is, why is disarming important? 2 is, why is disarming so difficult to do? And 3, why is thought empathy a powerful, simple tool that most people ignore? Why is disarming important? Because it escalates the tension immediately. It makes us change from the animal knee-jerk mode into a more human, rational mode, which is what you want, right, at a workplace. Now, why is it hard to do, though? Why is disarming hard to do? Because when we feel defensive, when we're in that animal mode, it's really hard for us to see things from the other person's perspective. But if you can manage yourself to do it, it's extremely powerful. You can just see how the other person, becoming less defensive, which is a really good state you want to be, if you want to have an open dialogue. Finally, thought empathy, which is, as Nubia pointed out, you're just trying to, this is not, you're not trying to do anything complicated, you're rephrasing the key ideas of what that other person said back to him or her. Now, why is this powerful? Because when you mirror the other person's thoughts effectively, that person will actually share with you more after hearing his or her own thoughts. And that's great because the more information he or she shares with you, that gives you additional opportunities to connect with that person. So just wanted to highlight a few things from these 6 strategies.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, I wanted to add something too about I feel statements. If you have something difficult to bring to your manager, or yeah, you just don't know how to approach it, it's great to start with I feels, because if you approach them with like, I want to talk about this, they're already like, oh shoot, what's going on? If you start with like, I feel this way because something has happened, they're much more understanding, and they're not on the defensive side immediately. So yeah, that's one thing you can try. And with these strategies, you can use them together. You can kind of mix and match whatever really fits your style. But disarming usually just does come first, so we do recommend that. Yeah. Any other inputs from the team?
Just a quick comment on the difference between affirmation and flattery. Yes, very important distinction. Flattery is a throwaway statement, like, oh, you are really good at your job. Well, no one cares about that. And an actual affirmation is, Nubia, you're an excellent coach. 2 months ago, you took on this client who was having no success looking for a new job for 3 months. You took him on. In 2 weeks, you helped him land the job. It's impossible for Nubia to feel like I'm actually just flattering her, right? I'm actually pointing to a specific achievement she did. So I think the key to really make your affirmation authentic is just be specific. Open-ended, statements. Yeah, those tend to be interpreted as relatively worthless flatteries.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, it even is taken the other way. Like this person's just trying to, flatter me and get me to agree to whatever they want, but that's not going to happen.
I guess one thing I might add is I think when I was first looking at this, this material, I was concerned that it seemed a little mechanical, which I think is actually how a lot of things look when you first approach a system and you haven't internalized it yet. So I just want to kind of note that in case people are seeing or kind of feeling that way. And especially around the thought empathy, actually using somebody's own words and repeating them back to them, that can also seem mechanical at first, but as you practice it, you'll find that I guarantee that you'll find that you will actually, it really helps to connect to the other person, to actually use their own words and avoid paraphrasing as much as you can. I mean, sometimes it's helpful to like make sure that you understand what they're saying. Is like, is this correct? Did you mean this? But really sticking to the words that people use, without just being a complete parrot, of course, can be a lot more effective than you might at first, or at least that I at first realized. And we're about to see a demonstration, and you'll see how, even though breaking down these strategies in this way, presented this way, can seem mechanical, when you see it in practice, hopefully you'll see how it flows a little bit more easily, and that it can be natural with practice.
And next we have our scenario. So Nubia is going to be playing a senior product manager at a company, while I am her manager, part of the executive team. So I'm going to go against good presentation skills and kind of read off the slide, but I wanted it here so that you can reference it as well as we're talking. So let's get started. So Nubia is a senior product manager. She has been working really hard with her team the last 3 months on a very important product, and it was just launched with a few customers. During the final sprint, right before the launch, some of her reports were sick and unable to deliver their work on time. After the launch, some customers had complained that the product that did not meet certain requirements in the contract that they had agreed on previously. So me and some other executives, we had invested a lot of time and money into this product, especially during the pandemic, which was a really tough decision. I had to handpick Nubia and promise my executive team that she was the person to get this done. And so the executive team is now looking at me, pointing fingers, and doubting my decision as well as Nubia's capabilities. So, upset, I come to Nubia and say, hey, I'm really disappointed about the results of this launch. I really trusted you and promoted you to senior product manager because I trusted you to deliver and to make our customers happy. Our customers have reported that some of the requirements were not met. I'm really frustrated because I did not know that some of your team members were sick. Now you have lost credibility to me and my team, and we have angry customers. The executive team is now very disappointed and doubting our decisions. What do you have to say to this?
Starfire, you're right. You're right. You trusted me and promoted me to this position because you thought that I would be the one who could deliver this product and satisfy all of our customers. I understand that our customers have reported requirements not being met, and our ratings are really getting bad. I didn't even tell you that our team members were sick and the delivery was at risk. You just told me that your team is very disappointed. And I'm guessing you feel you have to feel embarrassed and angry at me. You might be feeling annoyed that I didn't even communicate this with you. You know, I'm actually myself quite disappointed and frustrated. Last year, you and I helped the company obtain all these incredible contracts and hopeful customers. They were so excited for what we could deliver them. Everything looked excellent. Everything looked great last year. Now, Starfire, you have been a fantastic leader. This organization, and I really, at this organization, and I really value you. I value your leadership. I value your execution. Even last fall, you handpicked a fabulous team to carry out that stealth project, and it won recognition across the nation. The management team picked you because of your excellent leadership skills and your vision, your great ability to motivate people. I admire you, Starfire. I admire you as a professional. We didn't perform, and I'm learning from my mistakes. My team has put together a proposal to fix this. Would you please take some time with me, hopefully, and share with me a bit more about how you're feeling and listen to what I have to offer?
Thank you, Nubia. Hearing that helps me really understand that you know the situation, you know how impactful it is on both of us. And, I'm really glad that you have a proposal. Given all of your understanding, I'm way more willing to look at this proposal and work on this in a calm and non-blaming manner than to just dismiss you and potentially say like you're fired. So so you're not fired, Nubia. Congratulations. So yeah, like as you can see, crafting a response like this isn't always easy, but once you can get that down, it's really a superpower. If you can get yourself out of situations where people are like aggressively attacking you and then like becoming really defensive, like the world is in your hands. So as you can see, like this strategy framework really helped me understand how she felt, helped me understand how I probably felt, because by guessing, she really helped me think about like my feelings and my emotions before, saying my response to her response. And so application is key here. Maybe you have a scenario where you don't know how to apply them, or you want to apply it, but you don't know how. That's what we do here with our coaches, our communication coaches like Nubia. There's so much at stake when you have to do these live in person at work. You have you have your manager set up a meeting with you, and you know that something's going to happen. You probably want to practice that with someone before you talk to him in case anything goes wrong. So that's what we do here. Anything else the team wants to add?
Just a quick comment. That was an excellent demo for our audience here to see how these things can be applied in real time. One thing that we didn't explicitly mention that is very important for someone to genuinely apply these skills is take ownership, right? And look at this page, the green highlighted font. Nubia said we didn't perform. She didn't beat around the bush. Like the result was that was the fact. And while Nubia didn't have to humiliate herself to make her boss ready, but she was taking ownership for the facts. Hey, look, the facts on the table, we didn't perform, and here's what we're gonna do about it. And the whole the foundation for wanting to use these effective communication is that you make a decision to take ownership of that relationship and stop blaming the other person for agitating you, for making you angry, or for being douchey, whatever the case might be. And that mindset is so powerful, and it's critical in your ability in your motivation to want to do this, because this is hard work. As Dr. Strange put it, it won't feel natural at first. It's like you're trying to learn how to play violin. This is what's happening. You're not going to become a virtuoso violin player by practicing a day. You have to actually consistently put in the hours every single day. And same thing, if you want to be a master in communication, you got to practice every single day for a long time. So I want to invite and encourage the audience here to also, just take ownership of the relationship. Stop blaming the other person and see what you can do to make the relationship better.
Yeah, thanks, Hal. And we do offer free coaching sessions. So within 2 weeks of this webinar, if you sign up, I'll make that happen for you, and I'll send you corresponding links after this call. So actually, we have a few virtual meeting tips that I promised earlier, and I would love to go through those. And of course, these still capture the aspect of empathy and great communication, but these are just more tactical tips that you can do to hold very effective meetings. So firstly, we want to focus on relationships. Ask people about their day, how's your family, use people's names, try to meet them face to face if you can, if it's safe. It really helps when you need to get something done to have a relationship with that person. Prepare so that you can be present and productive. So it's always good to have an agenda. It's even better if you can prepare that in advance and get everyone's input on it. That way people can express their views and you can make sure that you allocate enough time for everything. Be clear about the deliverables. Tell people what you want opinions on. If you don't, you risk having no one say anything and a meeting where you're talking by yourself. Lead to accomplish the agenda. So it is really important to be empathetic and thoughtful. People have, a sense of being less connected when they're online. And so, doing that extra step to reach out and making sure that everything's good and check in to see if everyone's aligned. Now that does a lot to keep everyone engaged and active in the conversation. And it's okay to be a little bit assertive. So, if things go off topic, you can ask for permission to stay on topic. You can call on people and just check in to see if everyone is understanding of what's going on so far. Next slide.
Just a quick comment.
Oh, yes.
On if we go back to be assertive, actually, this is an opportunity where you can practice I feel statements in a virtual environment. so many things can go wrong in communication. Honestly, I will not subject you to the mistakes that I've made communicating with Starfire and Dr. Strange, but I've made some mistakes in even working on our team of not tapping into my own emotions and like clearly enough, such that sometimes my written comments are actually passive aggressive ways of venting my emotions. And so it's much more preferable if you just like, share your emotions, like, hey, I feel concerned, Starfire, like, we're not growing fast enough, or hey, I feel, worried, Dr. Strange, our product is, is not tight enough, or whatever the case might be. Even if it feels a little bit uncomfortable, I guarantee you can ask these two teammates of mine. That's a way better approach than, hey, Dr. Strange, what do you mean by this? Or, just like, asking questions, but that are really kind of passive aggressive. And I've noticed myself sometimes doing that, and that's not effective.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
So all of the tips that Starfire just recommended, of course, these are good for live meetings as well, but they are especially important when meeting online because of this sort of truncated medium that we're in. So it is really important, to only discuss what's intended. No, try to avoid status updates. It's can be useful sometimes to check in the beginning, but if you do that, make sure it's time boxed. Don't, it's not the time to just catch up about, everything. Get opinions on the agenda beforehand. Again, this is just a general good meeting tip, but especially important for virtual meetings, especially since Zoom fatigue is such a thing. We really want to be efficient with our use of online media, or with video chat. Encourage collaborative problem solving. Again, about really being efficient with this medium. This is not a time to just lecture everybody. That could have been done over an email or a document. The real point of meeting together is to collaborate, and to assign time for each person. Share the air. Make sure everybody who's in the meeting is contributing, is there to contribute. Otherwise, why are they're there in the first place? They could have just watched a recording afterwards. Really try to avoid multitasking. It's tempting. We're already in front of our computer. We got a web browser on in the background. Really try not to do that. It's really important to stay present. The last thing you want to do, and I've certainly been there, is have to ask somebody to repeat themselves because my mind was somewhere else. So don't do that. And check in and feel the temperature of the room. This is one of those things where it's really, and I see your hand raised, so I'll get to you. Check in and feel the temperature of the room. This is one of the things that's most difficult to do on Zoom, because we don't have all the cues that we would normally have if we were around a table together, right? If we were around a table together, you could see somebody's body language, you could hear their breath, you could hear, you'd get these sort of subliminal cues that maybe somebody's checked out or they're not interested. When everybody's this little tiny screen, window on our screen, it really requires a lot more focus to look at everybody and see where they are and see how they're responding to what you're saying and how they're responding to what other people are saying, and really be much more consciously proactive in measuring that, which brings up the last point, which is keep your camera on. If this is a collaborative meeting and we're all able to kind of collaborating, not like this webinar, which is a little different, obviously, but we are actually having a collaborative place where everybody's involved. It's important to keep your camera on because that's the only way people can see you. It's the only way people can have a sense of whether you're even there or not. And the mic, you might want to keep the mic on too, as long as you're not in too noisy of an area. Right. How else that, sometimes there's reasons for turning your mic off if there's, somebody talking or a dog barking or, construction happening. But if it's, if you're in a place where it is reasonably quiet, it can be helpful, especially with smaller meetings, to keep your mic on, so that we can have everybody can have a sense of one another. And this leads into the next thing, which I'll kind of pre-plug, which is what Hal is about to talk about is a great opportunity to put these things into action. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Paul.
Awesome. Before I jump to that, I believe someone raised
Yes,
this
sorry.
over hand. Can we address that? Who,
Yeah.
who was that?
Baubakar or something like that. Go ahead and unmute yourself if you want to have, if there's something you want to say. Baubakar. Ba.
Okay. Well, Babakar, feel free to interrupt me at any point. Cool. Leadership Lab. Yeah, what do I say? So this is developed at Harvard Kennedy School of Government that's used to train literally heads of state to make decisions on war and peace. So it's a big deal. It has educated people like General Secretary of UN, actually the first female president of Liberia, Sir Liv Johnson, if I'm not mistaken. And I noticed there are a few folks from Africa. Yeah, she took this class too at Kennedy School. It's so powerful because it not only synthesizes the most effective frameworks on leadership and how to communicate, the class offers a safe space to try it out. And why is that important? Because stuff like leadership, stuff like communication, it's only as good as you adopt them. And it's really hard to adopt what works for you or not just by you watching a YouTube video, even if the YouTube video is given by, I don't know, Barack Obama, because it's one thing to see why Barack Obama is very good at communicating. It's another thing for you to find out what's good for you, right? So, and what we do is provide that safe space for you to tinker, for you to sandbox, to figure out what kind of strategies really work for you and what might, might be some of your blind spots that you were not aware of, and can you learn from other people who in this lab setting that you might want to adopt and try on your own, and therefore having more freedom on how you want to communicate going forward. So the Leadership Lab is the adaptation from what I've learned at Harvard Kennedy School, and we're bringing it to you. So instead of having to apply to Harvard and pay literally ungodly amount of money, we're offering you at a very affordable rate. So
yeah, in fact, we are doing our first session, which is starting next month, for free. So if you're skeptical, please come and see for yourself. I've been a participant myself, and every time at the end, I'm like, these are things I really want to work on next time and try, like increase my confidence. How do I do that? There's a few strategies that my peers and Hal have suggested at the end of that previous lab. Which one I'm going to try today and see what works for me, and like helps project that authentic leadership that that I envision myself to have. Awesome. So I think that's all that we have today. Any last comments, questions from the audience? Thank you, Nidhi and Bill, for moderating the chat and providing great examples. So I will send out a recording, a link to Leadership Lab, a link to your free coaching session, link to Nubia's profile so you can learn more about her and get on a consultation call with her to see what she can do for you. And follow us on social media. We are on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. We'd love to engage with all of you more. And please feel free to ask us any questions if you have a tough scenario that's coming up and you need some guidance on that. We're happy to help with that.
Starfire, if people want to find out more about Flourish generally, our philosophy, what we do, how can we help them, how we add value, where can people go?
Yes, so our website is a great resource, and I will also send that out. But if it's easier to contact me, I think a lot of you have started communicating with me on LinkedIn already. I can point you to the right resource as well. And I'll just send the link in the chat for our website. So awesome. Thank you so much, everyone.